You talking to microphone.
Say something.
Don't look at it, just say
Roxanne.
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't know, because I've got shortness of breath, so I don't know. What do you now? What you want me to start with?
Sing me a song.
I can't sing. You better ask something else.
Just say la 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 la.
La 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 la.
Okay.
He went and visited one of Granddaddy's buddies that was in the service.
He did. One of his
and
buddies.
he said that the guy said that it was so cold in Korea, and he said that they were all huddled by the fire, and that everybody was like, "Where's Grady? Where's Grady?" And then all of a sudden the door to the barracks bust open, and it was Granddaddy, and he ran in there and he fell down at the fire, and he couldn't catch his breath because he had ran far really fast, and he couldn't say nothing, and everybody was like, you know, what's wrong? What's going on? What's going on? He said he finally caught his breath, and he said, "Home, we're going home." And he said that them guys just rolled on the floor, just so happy.
You know they were.
He said, also said that the guy said that they had gotten pinned down and separated from Granddaddy's group, and they said that Granddaddy did mortars, and he said that when they finally got him out of there, that Granddaddy's hands were all blistered because he had shot so many mortars trying to get them out.
But he still didn't tell me he was coming home. He didn't tell me he was on his way home. Oh, it's recording.
He didn't tell you that he was coming home?
He didn't tell me he was coming home. When I found out he was on his way home, my letters were coming back.
Oh, so when did you find out he was coming home?
Not long before he got here.
Really?
No.
So how did you find out, though?
When all his letters were coming back. He had wrote Miss Evans and told her, but he hadn't told me.
Why did he not tell you?
He was trying to keep it a surprise.
Oh. Now, was Daddy born then?
Oh, yeah.
Daddy was born?
Yeah, he said the way Grady, he didn't talk like we talk. And he asked when Rex's foot when he was born, his foot was twisted, turn in. And that night when he come home, he said, "How is his foot?" I said, "What?" I said, "How is his foot?" And see, his talk had changed because he had been around different people. He wasn't talking like we were talking. I didn't know what we were talking about.
How long did it take him to get
it didn't do long. It wasn't long before he started talking like he ought to talk.
Now, was he in the service when y'all got married? He wasn't in the service when y'all got married. He was?
They called him into service, and I can't remember the place they sent him. Can't remember the place they sent him, but it wasn't too far from here. It wasn't Fort Benning, Georgia, but it was somewhere else, but I do not remember the place. But anyhow, I was at school, and somebody knocked on the door. And somebody called me, said I was wanted at the door. And when I went to the door, it was Grady. He says, "Let's go get married."
Wow.
So I got out of school, and we had to go home and ask Mom and Daddy before I could go. But we did, and he got married got married. He come home on Thursday, no, on Wednesday, I think. We got married on Thursday, and he had to leave on Saturday. Daddy and myself took him to the train station in Wilson. He got on that train, and I forgot how long it was before he come back. They sent him to Hawaii. They sent him to Hawaii for his basic training, and he thought I was going to get a chance to go to Hawaii, is what he thought. And I did too, but right there at the end, they changed it. And when he got his basic training, they sent him straight to Korea.
Oh, really?
And then he said that night that they got there, said that was the coldest night he had ever spent in his life. They landed, and they had to pitch their tents in ice water. Said it was just so cold there.
How long did he spend in Korea?
Well, I don't remember how old Rex was when he Rex was about, he come home that night, because like I said, he hadn't told me he was coming, but I knew he was coming because Miss Evans knew it. And the taxi brought him from Raleigh to,
This is when he came home from Korea?
when he came home from Korea. And Mama got up and called me and told me somebody was at the door, and it was Grady. And then in a little while, we decided that we were going over there. Daddy was going to carry us over there to see Mr. and Miss Evans.
You and Granddaddy?
So we went to his mom and dad's that night. And then after that, he had to go to Camp Gordon, Georgia. And I don't know how long he stayed there. He got out of service when he had to stay 2 years. I think that's what he
2
had.
years in Korea, or?
No, in service.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That all?
That's all. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was 2 years. And it could have been 3 years. It could have been 3 years, because it's been a long, long time. And I can't remember, but he would come home on Saturday night. Daddy had moved over there on 222 then, and the room I slept in was out on the back porch. And he would get home on Saturday night, wake me up, knocking on that door. But he had to go back on Sunday to get back. And
Well, he didn't stay long, did he?
couldn't stay home, but it seemed good just to come home for just a little while.
Yeah. And Daddy was born then, or no?
Yeah.
How old were you when y'all got married?
17,
You were 17.
just a child.
You had just turned 17, hadn't you?
We got married the 13th, so evidently I was 16.
Because you had turned 17 right after that.
Yeah.
Did he ever talk to you about getting pinned down in Korea?
He told me all of that, Mister, but Grady didn't talk much about service now. He probably told other people more than he ever said to me, but he didn't like to talk about Korea.
He told, Andy was saying he told him that one time they got pinned down, and he said that they were pinned down for 3 days, and for 3 days they didn't eat nothing.
See, he didn't ever tell me none of that mess. He didn't tell me about what went on. At Grady, you know, he wasn't a big talker. He didn't talk about he never talked about service much.
Well, Andy said that he told him that they got pinned down for 3 days. For 3 days they didn't have nothing to eat. And he said that when they finally got them out, that the first thing he had to eat was a can of corned beef hash. And he said that was the best thing he had ever ate in his life.
Imagine he was perished today.
Probably. And you know, back then he was skinny.
Yeah, he was skinny. He sure was skinny. Oh. And right there at the end, he had changed. He had made sergeant, and he had changed to re-up again. But I didn't know if he was or not. But he decided not to, and I was glad of it.
I didn't know he had made sergeant.
Oh yeah, he had made sergeant.
When did you find out that they were going to send him to Korea?
Just as soon as
Did he get to come home after his basic training? No.
we thought he thought that I was going to get a chance to go to Hawaii before he left, but then they changed that too. But I understand that. How could they take that bunch of boys and let their wives go to Hawaii? That won't even, that didn't sound right to start with, but he thought that I was going to get changed, and I was hoping I could go, but it didn't work out like that. But Grady was never a person that talked about service now. He never talked about service.
Mom said her daddy didn't either. She said back then none of them really did talk about.
They didn't talk about service. He was swimming somewhere one evening. I know there was a little old girl there that time, 'cause he sprung his toe out there swimming. And I always thought he was with some, but if I had known it, I would have busted his head right wide open. But he never admitted to it. But anyhow, I still thought it, but that didn't mean it happened.
How did he spring his
I do not know.
swimming in Korea?
No.
Or was it in Hawaii?
No, I don't know when that was. I don't know when that was. But I always thought it.
Did you ever ask him?
I probably did. You know I did. You know he wouldn't have admitted it if it had been so. I would have said, oh, great.
So you don't know how long he stayed in Korea?
He stayed in Korea from. I think he finished his basic training in September, October, November, and December, and I think it was the last of December when they shipped him straight to Korea when he got through with his basic training.
Well, when your letter started getting returned, you didn't think something bad had happened to him?
Not then, because he hadn't said nothing about coming home. But he had already let Miss Edwards know, and she finally told me that. But I thought when them letters, I've always heard that when their letters start coming back, that they have been sent somewhere else. And he really was considering joining back up at one time, but then he changed. And then once he got out of service and we started farming, I had wished a many a time he had gone back in service. It was too late to wish for that then.
How long after he got back did you have Gail?
Oh, he got back. He got home. Well, he come home, and he from Korea, but he was still in service for a good while. I don't know, but when he come home, that little long house over there that at Miss Edwards, we moved into that, and Gail was born in 54, and Rex was born in 52. And you know, I've always been used to having my Pepsi Colas. You know that all my whole life. And when we moved back there, he was stingy. He was tight with his money. And we'd go get groceries, and he'd buy me 6 Pepsi Colas for the whole week for me and Rex. I got one a day.
Except for one day you didn't get one.
I know it. I probably aggravated him enough to go out there at Wooders to give me a Pepsi. I probably did, for all I know.
Papa, isn't he? Yeah, she gave Papa some. Her and Daddy.
Yeah, me and Rex had to share that Pepsi, and he loved it just as good as I did. Popped them little bitty lips for them Pepsis. But I shared it with him.
Popped them little bitty lips. Can you see Papa? And then Granny taught me to love them. I loved them just as good as you did.
And then y'all guys taught me to love him.
Yep.
And it doesn't help with Daddy, because Daddy loves him to death. Surprised. I really want one right now.
I've always loved Pepsi Colors.
Oh, you don't know.
I tell you that.
Now, let me ask you this. This has nothing to do with Granddaddy, but was Andy meant to be, or was he an accident?
Sure, there ain't never been one that was meant to be.
So y'all didn't plan.
No, I ain't never planned a baby.
Now, how many years between Gail and Andy?
Oh, I don't know. 59. Gail was born in 54. And Andy was born in 59.
About 5 years. So
Yeah.
he was an accident. That was not. That was
No, I didn't never plan a baby.
especially Andy was not.
Well, but when we brought him home that day, I went to stay with Mama. And Mama wanted me to go back and stay at her house for about a week. And I come home that day, and I told Grady, I said, we're going to have some milk. But you just have to wait until I can go get it. I said, Grady, you don't wait for a little baby to get milk. But he got, that next morning, he got on we were staying there at Mama's. He got up and went on to Stantonsburg and got that there milk. But you couldn't make him understand you didn't wait for a baby. When it's time for milk, it's time for milk.
Did he cry the whole time?
I can't remember, sure. He might have went on. I might have told him that morning I had to have some milk, and he might have went on and got it. I can't. That's been a long time ago. But it's been a long, long time.
So when Granddaddy came home from Korea, where did he come to the house? Was that the first place you saw him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he took a taxi from
That's right, you said that.
from Raleigh to Wilson.
Ooh, I bet that was expensive.
Or they brought him to the door over yonder on that road. On the same road where Doug, we have farming on our house. We sit back there, had a house, we sit back in the field. And he come that morning or that night, and then Daddy took him on over there.
When was the first time he saw Daddy?
Where?
Granddaddy.
What you mean the first time I saw him?
When was the first time Granddaddy saw Daddy? Wasn't he in the service when he was born?
Yeah, he didn't see him till that night. He come home.
How old was Daddy?
I can't remember how old Rex was. Rex was, he was born in April. And I believe it was, I believe it was in December. I could be wrong. Yeah, I believe it was. But he said when he come in Wilson, Nash Street, he said that was the prettiest sight he had ever seen in his whole life when they brought him down Nash Street on that taxi. He said that was the prettiest town he had ever looked at.
Because he had missed it so bad. Now, didn't he have somebody in the service that came and visited y'all one time?
They used to come, what was his name? Grubb. Grubb and him were in Korea together, and they took the basic training together. And Grubb and Carolyn used to come to see us. Mm-hmm. And we went down there 2 or 3 times. They stayed in, where in the world they stayed? I can't remember.
Now, did he ever talk about their time in Korea? Grubb?
Oh, they got together, they talked, but I won't pay any no mind then. No, I won't pay any. We had a house full of youngins standing, we had farmed, and I won't industry what they were saying about the service at that time.
What did Grubb do?
I don't know. He worked somewhere, and what state was he from?
Was it Tennessee? I know it was mountains.
Yeah, it was mountains.
Because I remember you saying that he talked about how flat it was here.
Yeah. Because when he come here, him and Carolyn come here, Grady took him down yonder by the farm, and he couldn't believe how flat this land was, sure. And when we went there, his house was built. There was a store right down the road from there, and I believe Grubb had run that store at a time, but he won't run in this store then. And his house was built, the mountain was coming down, and the house was at the bottom of it, and as you had to climb, it was built on the mountain. It was actually, the house was built on the mountain.
Wow. And you think it was in Tennessee? Okay.
I'm wanting to say Tennessee. I'm wanting to say Blaine, Tennessee, I believe is where they were from. Mm-hmm. And then when Grubb died, I didn't know he had died. I want to say Grady died before Grubb died. And Carolyn wrote me a letter, or maybe she called me on the phone. And she said that he wanted a black stone. And I ain't never heard tell of a black stone on his grave. And I asked her, I said, what do you mean a black stone? But I've seen some since then. There's one at Stantonsburg now that is black. It's a regular tombstone, only it's black instead of the gray ones like I had always seen. But I've seen some since. But I didn't know what she was talking about when she said it wanted a black stone.
But you never heard what Grubb and Granddaddy talked about?
Well, they talked, but I wasn't paying no attention to that then.
About like how I do try?
Yeah. You hear them talk, but you just don't pay them no attention. But
is that the only person in the service that Granddaddy kept up with?
And he would talk to that other man, that the one Andy went to see, and I can't remember his name no more. But Andy went down there to see him after we were staying here. Well, you know he was, because Andy wasn't even driving when we moved here. Because Andy was in about 12 years old when we moved here. But Andy went down there to see him. He enjoyed it. He said he enjoyed going down there.
Yeah, he said that Granddaddy had shot so many mortars trying to get them out.
Yeah, he was the mortar.
That was his job?
Mm-hmm, that was his job, shooting the mortar. That was his job. But he was, them pictures that he would send home, he was skinny then. I mean, he was skinny.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you a question. Now, did he join the service, or did
he was drafted. And Henry Newcomb, he was from Wilson, but Grady and Henry went to school together. Well, I'd known Henry Newcomb as long as I had known Grady, because they all went to Saratoga School. He went with them too. He was drafted and went. And there was another boy from Wilson that was drafted and went with them. And that Grady learned from Wilson, and he was in Hawaii too.
Well, did he get drafted because of the Korean War?
Back then, usually you had to go to service. And every once in a while, if a man had boys and if there was a hardship or something that they were really needed at home, you could get off. But and it got worse as the time went by. The hardship had to be worse and worse. And so that boy from Wilson and Henry and Grady, they knew each other. Mm-hmm. So they went to Hawaii together. But I don't know if Henry went to Korea I believe he might have, but I don't know. But I don't never remember. I ain't got no pictures of Henry after they had come from from Hawaii. Mm-hmm. I don't have no more pictures of him.
Okay.
think I